Hello, greetings and welcome to another episode of our 30 days journey into discussing 30 important questions singles must ask while dating or courting. This is episode 14 in our 30 days marathon journey into discussing 30 important questions singles must ask while dating or courting. And if you have not watched our previous episodes, please do well to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Living the Full Life, and you'll have access to all previous episodes. And today we are discussing question number 14. Question number 14, you must ask someone you're dating or courting. It goes like this: do you have or are there some unresolved issues from your childhood that you are still struggling with? Are there some unresolved issues from your childhood that you are still struggling with? This is what happens to us sometimes. We carry our history into our present, and we use it to hinder our future from coming to reality. And many people, though they are mature or they have grown, they are of age, they are still carrying a lot of things from their childhood, and these things may follow them into their relationship and may influence the way they relate with their partner and may even influence their marriage. And it could be positive and it could be negative, but if they are unresolved issues, they mostly or most likely influence relationships negatively. And so one important reason why you want to ask that person you are dating if they have some unresolved issues, childhood traumas, some problems, some issues they are still struggling with from their childhood, is to understand the impact on their current behavior. Is for you to be able to understand the impact on their current behavior. Unresolved childhood issues can significantly impact an individual's behavior and emotional well-being in adulthood. And by discussing these issues, you gain insight. You gain insight into your partner's behavior patterns, their triggers, and their emotional responses, which can help foster understanding and empathy. Sometimes people grew up in a home that there was an abusive relationship between their parents, and they grew up with some traumas from the experiences, the things they witnessed their parents or their mother go through from the hands of their father, or their father go through in the hands of their mother. And these things greatly shape how they see marriage. And these things will kind of program into them some triggers. And there are certain things when you do them, as simple as they may seem, they trigger some childhood memories, and you will be very surprised with the kind of reactions or responses you get from them from doing certain small things. And some people are actually angry with their father and they are punishing their husband. I say that again. Some people are angry with the way their father treated their mother when they are growing up, and they are punishing their husband unconsciously because they are trying to pay back. Unconsciously, they are trying to pay back the trauma, the issues their mother went through in the hands of their father, and they are unconsciously paying their husband or punishing their husband in the place of their father. And sometimes you may say something's very simple, but they don't take it simple. They don't take it lightly, because that thing you say triggers something that they have covered in their childhood. They have not been able to deal with. They have not been able to overcome these things. And when you say that little thing you say, it goes and triggers something that they have covered in their childhood and they have not been able to deal with. That's why it's important as an individual that when you grow into adulthood, you should consciously deal with your childhood traumas. You should intentionally resolve your childhood traumas, your childhood insecurities, the things you went through childhood. This is what I always tell people. Suffering can teach you humility. It can also teach you violence and inhumanity. It all depends on how you approach it. Some people through suffering have developed a lot of empathy. Some people through suffering have rather become animals, demons in human bodies, and they don't have feelings, they don't have empathy, they don't, show sympathy to anybody, and they can destroy anything on their way because they had a very difficult childhood. So what we experience during our childhood impacts us a lot, especially as we grow. If we don't resolve those issues as we grow into adulthood, it should be an intentional thing for you to do to resolve childhood traumas, childhood negative experiences in your childhood that are influencing your relationships, that are influencing your responses, that are influencing your reactions to people when they talk and how they talk. I have this friend that she has a particular hatred against plastic plates. And some of us know what I'm talking about. Plastic plates, plates which are made from plastic and not from, ceramic or made from other materials. She has a particular hatred towards this plastic plate. And one day I asked her why. She told me she suffered. And where she was living, every other person in that house was eating in ceramic plates, in good plates. And plastic plate was the only plate in that house that she was being served food with. So each time she sees a plastic plate, it reminds her of the sufferings and the mistreatment she received in that house where she was living. And so she doesn't want to be reminded of what she went through in her childhood. And this is obviously because she has not consciously or intentionally dealt with those negative memories from her childhood. And like I said, some people do the things they do because they carry a lot from their childhood and they have not been able to deal with them. Just like if you have not succeeded to deal with issues from your past relationship, you should not get into a new relationship. I will equally advise that if you have not successfully obtained healing from your childhood traumas, don't get into a relationship. Some people may not be empathetic enough to be able to understand you and to follow you through the path of healing so that you can be able to receive your wholeness again or be able to develop your personality enough to be able to face what marriage brings. Reason number 2, why it helps us to prop into know if our partner has issues or unresolved issues in their childhood is going to help us in building a good communication with them and also building trust. When we understand them, we will know how to talk to them with empathy. We know how to, talk to them with understanding, knowing where they are coming from, knowing why they behave the way they behave, knowing why they react the way they react. And this will help us to appreciate their person better beyond their reactions, appreciate them better beyond their responses. If we are able to tap or probe into their childhood life to understand if they have some traumas they are dealing with. Next reason why it's important to probe into the childhood of the person we are dating or courting to understand if they have childhood unresolved issues is because to understand relationship dynamics. Unresolved childhood issues can influence relationship dynamics, including communication styles, attachment patterns. Some people will be particularly attached to certain things because these things are actually from their childhood and they have not been able to detach themselves from those things. It could even be the way they do things at home or the way they carry themselves about. There are some people, because of childhood trauma, they develop a very negative or perspective about themselves, or they develop very low self-esteem. This will be reflected in the way they dress. This may be reflected in the way they talk about themselves. This may be in the way they perceive themselves. And you need to have this understanding. so that when you are relating with them, you are able to see these attachment patterns, understand the attachment patterns, and see in which way you can assist them. This also will also help you to understand how they look at conflict resolution. And addressing these issues allow both partners to understand how past experiences may affect the current relationship and work together to navigate potential challenges. Because our past, if we don't handle them well, will always get into our today, and they may hinder us from getting into our tomorrow. So it helps in relationship dynamics. Always look up or look out for attachment patterns. You hear people always tell you, this is how my mother used to do it. I'm doing it this way because that's how my father used to do it. These are what? Attachment patterns. And some of them could be negative attachment patterns, which is related to unresolved childhood issues. And they have not been able to, separate themselves from those attachments. And you need to accompany them, obtain healing, accompany them, deal with these attachment patterns, which may be negative, in order to build a good relationship with them. And of course, the next thing, which is inherent in the previous points that I've discussed, is support and validation. Talking about unresolved childhood issues provides an opportunity for your partner to feel supported and validated. And it shows that you are willing to listen, you're willing to understand, you're also willing to empathize with their experiences, which can promote healing and emotional growth. Some people may not want to talk about their childhood traumas. And that is an escaping tendency, because they feel that they are going to bring back old hurts, they are going to bring back old wounds, and escaping the problem itself doesn't solve it. But uncovering them, addressing them adequately, would solve or resolve those issues, and then you seek healing from them and you move on with your life. There are so many people who are still struggling with their childhood. And these, if you get into a relationship with someone who is still going through some of this, struggling with those past issues in their childhood, you need to give them a listening ear. Don't judge them. Don't misjudge them. Give them a listening ear. Show them that you understand. Show them that you care. Help them. Accompany them in their healing process and help them to get healing from those childhood experiences which are influencing them negatively and hindering them from enjoying their life in the now, in the present. Because as long as they are still struggling with those past experiences in their childhood which were negative, it is difficult for them to enjoy life in the now. And sometimes they might have seen one of their parents suffer disappointment, betrayal from the other parent, and this will be very difficult for them to trust. This will make them very, very difficult to trust you. And so sometimes when they are, suspecting you, or they are being suspicious of the things you do, how you carry yourself around, the problem is not you. The problem is issue they are carrying from their childhood. How they saw betrayal happen between their parents, how their mother betrayed the father, or how the father betrayed the mother. And these are issues that you need to understand them, show them support, and help them obtain healing, and help them recover or resolve these childhood issues. And finally, it helps to build a strong foundation. When you are probing into their childhood traumas or issues in their childhood which have been unresolved, I think your intention will be to help them resolve these childhood issues. And addressing unresolved childhood issues early in the relationship helps build a strong foundation based on honesty, empathy, and mutual support. It allows both partners to work together to create a healthy and nurturing environment where past traumas can be acknowledged and addressed constructively. Some people may be adult, but they still have that little child living in that big body. And you need to help them, separate them from that little child that was abused, that little child that was traumatized, that little child that went through, it could be sexual harassment. Some ladies, when they get married, they don't even enjoy sex. And the reason why they don't enjoy sex is because they are living with the trauma of sexual abuse. Some were abused by uncles. Some were abused by other adults living with them in their home. Some were abused even by a parent. And they live with that trauma, and it will become difficult for them to enjoy sex in marriage. That's why it's important to prop into these things and then openly discuss it with them, see how you can assist them obtain healing from these traumas and help them to enjoy their life in the now and their life in the future. And sometimes it may be difficult. It may be difficult to uncover those childhood traumas. So that is why you don't need to go to them as a police officer, as an investigation officer, asking them, questions with so much authority in your voice, but getting to them in love, getting to them with a lot of softness, trying to, probe into their history, into their childhood experiences, how they grew up, those things that could be pointers to traumas in their lives, and help them, accompany them in their healing process. And when you are going to probe into their childhood experiences, just be ready to hear anything and everything. Give them a listening ear, show them love, show them that you care, and just don't choose the things you want to hear. Give them a listening ear to hear whatever they have to tell you, because you hear the good, you hear the bad, you hear the ugly. And they need to see that you love them. They need to see that you care for them. They need to understand that you're not going to misjudge them. They need to understand that you're not going to use their history, their childhood issues to, against them. You're not going to use them against them in the future. Or when you have conflicts with them or issues, you're not going to remind them of their negative childhood traumas. They would want to have that assurance from you. So you need to show them love and deep concern, deep empathy that will help them open up to you. I invite you to register for our April and May edition of our single training. There we're going to teach you some of these things and help you how you can navigate singlehood effectively and happily, fulfilling and living your life while waiting to get married, or while waiting for the right man or the right woman to locate you. Thank you. See you in episode number 15. Have a blessed evening. Bye-bye. It has been your friend, Pastor Divine. Much love.